Alright, we are recording for Isom 3, the finale of Ill-Advised. The Isom Ill-Advised story. Um, sorry, I'm just moving things out of the way. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more I need to say, so let's just get to this. Eric July, writer and editor-in-chief. Cliff Richards, artist. Sebastian Chang, colorist. And then we have... This is apparently late enough that now we are back to having the group of the other credits there, with the first two Isom's, those were, like, Invisible Art Studio letterer was up top with the bigger text. We also get the, an introduction here. As Isom, Avery Silman only wanted a quiet life on his ranch. But when a wellness check on an old friend takes a dangerous turn, he's forced to reconsider his path. After Sam, the operations manager of Silman Ranch, goes missing, Isom, alongside Sidney Bloodruth, uncovers a cave filled with mysterious beasts, where Sam is being held captive. Though they manage to free him, Isom's troubles are far from over. Now he must face Darren Fontano? Darren. We then do get a letter from Eric July again, as we have been seeing previously. Actually, I just noticed that. That's kind of funny. And let me... Okay, yeah. For the letter for Isom 2 is signed Eric D. July. Here he dropped the D. Anyway, so the letter is again being just very thankful to the fans, to the community and such. In part talking about how after the success of Isom 1, they put a lot of the money that was raised by that into the business to help with, strengthening their infrastructure, it even says there. Then Isom 2, and they weren't entirely sure how well that would perform initially, but at least with its success, it did reaffirm their business strategy, as it says, so continuing to push forward and all that. So, yeah. Good stuff there. Good things happening, basically, as he's reporting on, and he's thankful for everyone who has been a customer and helping in that way. Alright, so the story starts basically where the last one ended, though we don't see the big-ass battle that was happening outside of the mountain. We just see Avery here inside. Now he's actually trying to leave, and they made it out, Sidney and, Bloodruth and Sam. But he's still got some of these monsters to fight, and he starts noticing that something is wrong with him. That he's not hitting as hard as he had been, so he's losing his strength. Fortunately, the wolves come in and help. Yep. So, one attacks the monsters, another grabs him and grabs Avery and pulls him out of there. We then cut to Bloodruth's castle, where we find Sam, who gets a jacket to cover up, since he was shirtless earlier. No mention here about the markings on his back. Those get mentioned later, but we still don't really know. It's a mystery, but I mean, it's, as I had stated previously, and this story also continues with that. The markings on Sam's back are a separate story. It's not that they're not important, but they're not relevant to what is specifically happening, the main theme of the story, which is concerned with Avery. But it still seems odd there's no mention, like, does Bloodruth even know that those markings are there? Unclear. She starts going to her books to try to figure out, what might be going on here, because something just isn't right. She then decides, in the previous book, she was doing something with the blood from the dead bodies, because it was, she was doing something so that she might be able to identify them. She starts working on that. But as she does, she also gets a view of them, a vision of them, and sees that they were actually murdered, and then shows this third, now, monstrous being, because there were, the initial smaller ones, like what had attacked Avery, and that Avery's been having to defend against. there was the big guy that Isom 2 ended with, and then there's this guy who has a completely different face to him and is holding a staff. So it's definitely a things are bad, and she's still figuring out exactly what it is. She is also it looks like just sketching out the faces of the dead, so hopefully they can be identified. And this is when the wolf reappears with Avery, and they talk a little bit, and I had a acknowledgement, because I do remember, I wasn't criticizing it, per se, because it's, I understood its purpose, but in the previous book when we were meeting her, and she was just, going off on everything, with this occult kind of stuff, and it's like, I'm not really following it, Avery isn't really following it, but it's one of those where it's like, yeah, but, and it would be nice to understand what she's talking about, but her character, this is what she knows, this is what she cares about. So she's basically talking as though she just assumes people have a background in it that they don't. So it's like, yeah, I can't really criticize that. So here there's a little bit of talking and how whatever's happening in that cave is beyond even my understanding. There's something bigger at work. I'm not so sure, considering what I've seen. You'll have to trust me on this. Because she's like, yeah, I mean, it's... Avery, you got no idea what's going on. I might have a chance at it, but he points out that that's not what I was talking about. I recognize your wealth of knowledge, so let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of peakers? That's a myth. You can't be. And it does get explained why she's reacting this way. I don't quite understand. And also, what is stated later also seems to have certain confusing consequences to me. When we get to it, and I'll also reread it then when we get to it. But yeah, it's odd. It just, I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding something with it, or it is just that there's consequences here that maybe will be explored, maybe are explored in the rest of this book. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But it is still odd. She seems truly disturbed here by the idea that peakers are real. Anyway, we next cut to the Brookbriar Country Club days later, where we meet Michael Copper again, who I think it was Isom 1? Yeah, it was Isom 1, where this is the dude that can have his eyes glow and then, like, read people. And he and his partner, I don't remember her name, wanted to buy the Merc Club, or Club Merc, Darren's place, because of the rich and the people pretending to be rich go there, so it's a great place to get information. So they want to buy it from Darren. He's not really interested in selling it. But this is still interesting, and learning some more about the situation. But one thing to point out, yeah, it doesn't look like it went too well. It didn't. I've got other plans. Michael's saying to the other guy, to the partner whose name escapes me, but pretty sure that's her on the cover. The woman in the black dress, dark purple hair, and glowing purple around her hands. That seems most likely. And plus, right above this guy right here, that's Michael. So, trying not to lose my page as well. This guy. So there she is. That's Michael. At least I'm pretty sure that's who they are. Anyway, I've got other plans. He's a slick bastard, though. What do you mean? He owns this place, too. So we're starting to get a deeper sense of Darren's connections. Because before he seemed, yeah, he's talking about having an empire and all that, but you could still believe he's referring to like a street empire. That, yeah, he owns this club, he owns that club, but, he owns things that just not a country club. So he certainly has money, but he has aspirations, I guess you could say, something much more vertical. And then we get Darren continuing to be stupid. because he is doesn't want any casualties, but wants to kidnap Avery's parents. Yeah, that's not going to go too well. Now, remember, from the Great War of Separation, it was revealed that his mother is also very strong. Turns out she is also a Peaker, so it's those two talking with each other. His mother, Harriet, and Avery, that we get the background on what a Peaker is. That'll be a little bit later. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say for their household other than seems nice. They're retired. It's like, they're just sitting out on lawn chairs. He's grilling up something. It's not entirely clear, but it's old man grilling. That's a good day. She goes in because she's baking a pie. Again, sounds like a good day. But that's going to be ruined because of the Darren's guys coming in. So she's gone inside. So they are separated for this. But Jacob is the father's name, and he, despite being an old man, well, older man, I guess I should say, still manages to beat up 3 of them. Younger men who are also certainly fit. So I do wonder a little bit if he also has something going on with him. But it could just be that he is that physically disciplined, even into his older age, that he keeps himself fit enough to be able to handle. And experience can make up for a lot. So it could also be that. I mean, they definitely get some blows on him, but yeah, and he's also not suffering them. I mean, it's like, you're trespassing. Right where we need to be. Your son around? You're trespassing. Leave. Mr. Silman, you didn't answer the question. I said, and then he throws away his sunglasses to start punching him. Whereas in the house with Harriet, they try, grabbing her to, hold her, keep her from escaping. She screams, and then one of them has the very terrible idea of breaking a chair against her back. Why you would even think that, I don't know. Because even without her having powers, it's like, no casualties. Let's break a wooden chair against a woman's back, an older woman's back. What's wrong with you? It's one of those, I doubt any real person would do that unless they really are, like, sociopaths. But it is, yes, it sets up comic book moment of, like, the blow knocked her to the ground, but now she's standing up with the splintered wood falling off of her. Yeah, you dare to step into our home, our place of solace, and though you will be unsuccessful, you're attempting to rob me of it all. The world is already cruel enough. A person should at least find peace in their own home. How many families have you torn apart by taking that from them? All right, that's enough. Shut this. And yet you threaten me in my own home. Oh, no, sorry, this is still with her. Without hesitation, this isn't the first time you've done this. Well, without hesitation, this isn't the first time you've done this. May the Lord have on you what I cannot promise. And then she just moves around to start attacking them, and then finishes what she was saying, mercy, and they don't last even a moment against her. So they all run away, and then once Jacob comes in, I took down 3 of them out back. They ran off over the fence. Come on, let's get to the safe room. I'll grab the shotgun. So, yeah. And then we cut to many years ago. Why? I'm not entirely sure what we feel we need to do that. But still, the parents are okay. They're going to get into the safe room. Which I do wonder, because, well, actually, no. We'll get to that. So many years ago, we get to see about Avery's, one of his earlier jobs, when he was, at least he started when he was in high school. And he's at a pawn shop, it seems. Yeah, pawn shop. And he's been there for a few years, and he is very efficient, and the owner... Dorset? Yeah, Dorset is the name of the store. I'm just looking to see if we get a name other than that. not singing it right away, but anyhow. So, Avery's been doing a good job. The owner likes him. It's like he's efficient and all that. So he's decided, all right, this weekend's going to be a big pick, as in, going out somewhere to find a bunch of stuff to put into the store to sell. But he's decided, you've been coming along with me. You've proven yourself many times. So here's the envelope, which likely has money, but I also am assuming it has the directions. And tells him, you're going to go do it yourself. You don't need me. You know what to get, all that. I trust you. So he goes. Actually, is it? No, that is later. Okay. And what he comes to is like an older estate where the guy is, his name is Murphy. And the way he makes it sound like is this is a generational, it's a home that's been in the family for generations. Lots of people have moved out. Apparently he's still living there. And it's like, sometimes when they come here, they just leave stuff here. I don't really care about it. It's in this second building out back. Go in there, find whatever you want, then bring it into the house and we'll talk numbers. Even I don't need to watch you do this. Because it's of no value to him. He doesn't want to just give it away. He does want to get paid for it, but it's like, go ahead. I'm not worried. Because it is also, if he's trusting Dorset, who trusts Avery. So it is if he trusts you, I don't need to keep an eye on you. I know you're not going to rob me. It then appears that that among the things that Avery finds in there are old comic books. And there's even a reference here if they are all first prints. Which, depending, and if they're in good condition, those could be worth quite a bit of money. But we don't know fully what they are. I wonder if we may get some of this revealed later. It's not revealed in this, but in a way, it also isn't important. It's about the lesson Avery is learning here. When he comes in next time to work, presumably on Monday, because this was over the weekend, Avery's super happy. He wants to share. He's so happy. He's so excited. He wants to share what he got. And here's your final lesson. Don't be too quick to show off your picks to anyone except potential buyers. And he also points out the whole that, Avery, I'll be honest with you, outside of owning this place and taking my job, there's not much mobility here for you. I refuse to be the reason you don't reach your potential. Whatever's in the bag is yours. Just remember what I taught you when you have a buyer. So it is like, this guy is recognizing, exactly what he said. You have a lot of potential. If you stay here, you're not going to realize it. I've been trying to teach you. I've put this trust into you. Here is your first step that I'm trying to give you so that you can go and do something else. Be more. But it also gets one thing a little funny here because, are you serious? I couldn't be more serious. Just one question. Let's say you hit the jackpot with your findings. What does Avery truly want to do? Honestly, I kind of want to buy some land. Really? That does seem a little odd, but, it's... He's in high school, or at least is shortly out of high school at this point. And depending if you can get a decent amount of land in the right place, he might not need that for years. And land can really appreciate in value. Even without... Like, if you had bought up some marshland in Florida before Disney decided to put Disney World down there, that's one thing. There are people that they're still living off the money that they made from that. But even without something extraordinary like that happening, it's still it can just go up in value quite a bit. So that's not unreasonable. And if you actually did that, man, that would actually be a pretty good investment. But it's also in theory setting up that even at this young of an age, he potentially had his mind on something like the ranch he ultimately does have at present day. Which we finally get to present day. I love being in the valley. I wanted to carve out my own path and build my own legacy. It's talking about here. His inner monologue as he drives up to his parents' home. One thing a little interesting. Hey, it's alright, I think that's their son. They're waiting for him. Two cops that are... Well, one wants to stop him from just running in. The other's like, nah, I'm pretty sure that's their son, but we do get this. But he does look oddly familiar. See Isom once, so I'm guessing that that's one of the cops who saw him earlier at Club Merc. Anyway, his dad is still talking with police officers. We'll catch up in a minute. First, speak with your mother. She's out back. Who she was also speaking with somebody, but that wraps up. So then it's, Moms, are you okay? Honey, you know I can handle myself. I'm far more worried about my children. So yeah, then we finally get to them talking. Yeah. So what now? I must confront him, Darren. But I'm not sure now. I don't know if I can do it in this state. So they're talking about how it seems like he is weakening. Yeah. How's Jasmine? I think she's good, but you don't actually know, do you? You did the right thing for the wrong reasons. Not only did you peak at an earlier age than her, but you can also do things I've never been able to. That proves there's still a bit of ignorance about what we are. That's partially why we concealed from your father and sister. My guess is that they are somewhat aware of Harriet here having some amount of super strength, but they might just think that she's an except not a peaker, which we're going to get more explained about. But yeah, most excepts get their powers from birth, an experiment or simply being born from a different planet. We don't have that luxury. Despite lying dormant in us, it is very much an earned trait. But what if it can be lost as well? You think that I'm losing my powers? I've never heard of this being possible. But doesn't make sense. I didn't push you towards being a hero, but I was disappointed that you stopped. Maybe you never lost your abilities because your heart was in the right place. Ma, I don't think that's it. I haven't had a chance to tell you, but I put the suit back on. I even took a pit stop to save Sam from, but why? To take care of Darren. Your intentions are just as important as your actions. When our ancestor was healed in Galilee, one person in each generation was blessed, but it requires absolute stasis, so there's rarity plus a set of circumstances. For something, and then this is Avery saying, for something that's so hard to achieve, why wouldn't it be so easy to lose? Keep your heart in the right place. Honey, you peaked, but you haven't reached your full potential. So, now we get an explanation for what a peaker is. It's still odd, though. So So the idea here, and by the way, it even does give Matthew chapter 4, verses 23 to 25, which is just referencing to, which is a reference to it's pointing to a part of Gospel of Matthew for when Jesus was healing the sick and such. And so the idea here is that there is a line of ancestors from Avery through his mother all the way back to one of the people who was healed, and that along with being healed, apparently one in every generation has these special abilities. It's like, okay, that seems... For one thing, that means that excepts would technically go back 2,000 years or so. Okay, because they would be a class of except, just a very rare one. But it's also, why would Bloodruth... I mean, we're talking about one person a generation, which typically that means there would only be 3 or 4 people on the planet, for his line at least. 3 to 4 people on the planet like this. And they would always know each other. They'd be near each other for at least part of their lives. So it's... You'd think that there wouldn't really be rumors about them. But there's also this. It's one ancestor for them. He healed a lot of people. So does that mean that there's other lines out there of peakers? I don't know. And this is what I mean by the consequences of this. Is that could there be other peakers, which would then explain how Bloodruth would have some knowledge of this. And it's like, and I thought that was a myth. well, there still has to be something there to suggest it. It's I guess another way to put it is this: that let's say that you somehow had a line of succession, that it was just always the same name was being passed down. Like I once knew a guy whose last name was Carpenter, and he would he worked. Part of his work did involve carpentry, and he would make the joke about how, well, yeah, my daddy was a carpenter, his daddy before him was a carpenter, his daddy before. But imagine it was always in like just one, maybe only one child, or just only the one son, and the name continued that way, all the way down for the 2,000 years. But it would still work out. There's only like 3-4 people, because let's say just one son a generation. So 3-4 people with that name alive at one time. That doesn't mean anyone's going to know the name. And Avery has been trying to hide it to a degree. His mother has been trying to hide it to a degree. So I do find it odd that there's the idea that there is this myth there. Unless it is, there are others. And maybe there are. There's plenty more book here to cover. Or maybe it is that's a different story that hasn't been told yet. I don't know. But, yeah, so I'm just, yeah, so the next page I just want to talk about, but, so from this conversation that he has with his mother, we learn what a peaker is, which, I mean, I get it. It's just those consequences leave me a little unsatisfied, because it's just, is it truly only them? Which then is how would Bloodruth, even as a myth, be familiar with it? Because it just seems so unlikely. Unless it is, Excepts have been around that long, and that they were always an Except. It just, I don't know, it feels like you're having to thread a needle that doesn't quite make sense there. Or there are other lines of Peakers. That would explain things, but then it's just, okay, where are they? So it's like, yeah, okay. But the fact that, as his mother was pointing out, your intentions are just as important as your actions, that this might be why he is losing some of his strength. That, because this is, and is very much stated later on, his powers aren't just a quirk of genetics or something like that. No, they're a blessing from God. And he can be, not necessarily, I mean, technically, yes, sinful, but also just disrespectful, I guess you could say. And for that reason, lose it. So, the closest biblical analogy I can think of would be Samson, which chances are everybody knows that story, but I'll still go through it. He was one of the judges. If I remember correctly, he's the last in the book of Judges, but there were still judges after. He was a Nazarite, I think it was. There's a specific title that it's coincidentally very similar to like Nazareth, but it's not quite the same thing. So saying Jesus of Nazareth is not to say that it was this, because this was a specific class of people that basically their entire lives, they could not have their hair cut. They couldn't be in contact with leather, as I recall, or at least not treated with leather, because technically he does skin animals. Samson does. But there's also I think it's not allowed to, I don't remember about the drink wine, but there are certain requirements. So when having his hair cut was part of, never cutting his hair was part of that. And it was this sign of his commitment and dedication of his life, his whole being to God was to continue this. So when Delilah learned about these things, had his hair cut, but also the other things done to him to basically have him no longer be so pure. So it broke the covenant that he had by no longer maintaining those things. And I know that some of the way that some of the way that the story is portrayed is that once he was captured and after being blinded, his hair grew back as though the hair was the source of his strength. No, it wasn't. It was his state of being, his state of heart, and basically his intentions and such there. So while in prison, he was constantly praying. He was humble. He was pious. And through that, he then regained the favor of God such that his strength returned, and then he was able to topple the temple. Was that the Philistines? I'm trying to remember if it was the Philistines or if it was a different group. But in any case, he topples the temple, crushing the king of the Philistines. I'm just going to go with it was them. Killing them and all the other people that were brought there, in part to, they were trying to show off the defeated judge of the Israelites. So he was actually chained between columns, but he now had the strength to pull it all down around them, killing all of them, but also himself, which makes sense because he did fail, and this was you getting your chance back. It wasn't your chance to redeem yourself back, and it wasn't cool, now I can go. No, you failed. This is part of your penance, essentially. So, yeah, this does kind of make sense then in that regard, that it's Avery hasn't necessarily had the haircut or anything like that, but it is because he's been doing things not for the right reason, he needs to find that reason again. For Samson, it was through the constant prayer and devotion while he was in his jail cell. For Avery, it's... Well, he's still on that journey, technically. It's like he's losing his strength now because it's when it would be meaningful, as opposed to previously when, just like on the Silman Ranch and such, and before the events of Isom 1 happened. So, yeah, but there will be more of that to talk about a little bit later. So, yeah, because there is that element of, yeah, you lost it at the time that would have the greatest impact on you to get you to figure out how to regain it, kind of thing, which is, very good. Very good to do in a story, because that's what the character needs. Anyway, so now the father comes out, and I like him. I like how he approaches this. You're in a bit of a complicated situation. This is something serious. I need you to do what I've prepared you to do. Lead. Altona seems to be okay. We'll be fine. I just need to build a makeshift for the front door. But how do we fix this problem? I'm sorry for all this. Do you trust me enough to make it right and let me handle this? I don't need the details. Should this get out of hand, you know how to reach me. You're not my baby boy anymore. You got this. So I like that, where it's like, we'll be okay. You need to take care of this. Go take care of it. That I raised you to be able to take care of this. Just go and do it. Don't worry about us. We got this. And if you need my help, I'll be there to help. I like that. We're next at the Solomon Ranch the next day, where they set up a course. I can't think of the actual name for it, but Sam is running through it with his gun. Basically, it's a firing range, but it is a firing course to go through there and just clear certain targets, and it's a way to see if he's back to his old self, and he's actually a little bit better. Bro, that's the quickest you've ever been. Every shot was spot on. And then we learned a little bit, like, apparently Sam had been in prison before, but after getting out, Avery gave him a chance, which is part of the reason why Sam is as devoted to him as he is. One thing that's a little unclear to me. Yeah, when I got out, I didn't have a lot of options. You took a gamble on me, and my whole family owes you. We're seeing this through. I just wonder if, because Sam knows, maybe not the peak aspect to Avery, but he knows he's Isom. He knows about some of this stuff at least. And Avery does tell him about how, yes, he is weakening, so maybe he is aware. I wonder if Sam was in prison because of him. Like, yeah, you breaking the law, I'm going to catch you and put you in prison, but once he got out, it's like, I can give you a chance. Because that would also explain then why Sam would know who he is, because, like, he doesn't wear a mask. He just wears a costume. But Sam does push that, Daewin has an army, but so do you. You've got various people you can rely on, like here at the ranch. Spoiler, he doesn't do that. Avery doesn't take advantage of that. He tries to bear it all himself. But he ends up calling Lincoln, who the Projexis founder, calls him for help. And we see him. He is fine. He is scratched up, but otherwise okay from that car crash that we saw in Isom 2. And he agrees to meet him at not the headquarters, which is in the city, because, like, yeah, I understand you don't really like him into the city. Well, that's okay. I got a place. I have another facility that's, out in that valley, Shadow Valley, so can meet you there. We then cut to J. Sully Ward. This is just almost like randomly in here. I'm guessing it ties in with other stories, which shows that this monster of an Accept that's kind of like a giant red and yellow lizard thing, that tail, claws, big sharp pointy teeth, and also a tentacle-like tongue that it does use to, like, spear people and such and grab them that way. But this J. Sully Ward, I don't know what it is. A little later, because there are security guards, but there's also a special agent who comes in, and the special agent is an Accept, and the way it... so, hang on. The name was given. What was it? Okay. Lepredo is the name of this monster. The special agent is named Salient. So they're calling you Lepredo these days? Stupid name if you ask me. Such a sellout you are. You dare to protect the place that caused us such strife? Speak for yourself. It was a prison to you. For me, it was therapy. So my guess is that this was a place that people were being experimented on, turning them into Accepts. And that's how it went for these two, where this Salient guy, he still looks human. Is apparently quite strong, but he doesn't have pupils in his eyes anymore. Okay. And they start... Well, they don't really fight. They mainly just talk here. And boom, we need assistance towards the back, and the monster guy runs off. And I technically need to... There. I just refer to the guy as Monster in my notes, and it's like, okay, when I start writing stuff up, I should actually use his real name. And now Avery goes to meet Lincoln at Projexis West. And... hang on just a second. Okay, so I just really needed to clear my throat there. So, I guess we just got more pieces on the board, but it's still a new place on the board as well, which I get. It's setting up for other things. It's... at the time, it seemed very irrelevant, but both Lepredo and Salient do end up appearing later in this story. But it did just seem like, why are we here? So yeah, now Avery's talking with Lincoln, and Altona had explained some stuff to Lincoln, and Lincoln is like, I don't really remember who Jasmine is, but hey, we're gonna help. I'm gonna do what I can to help. And he also shares some information, because he and Darren do know each other, because they, at the level that those two operate at, he kind of do start to know everybody in town. But this also includes that while Darren did have to get moles into Projexis, Lincoln has had a little bit of an easier time and actually got cameras up in Club Merc, so they have video feeds there. Audio and visual feeds, I should say. Which allows him to know then that, because Avery was intending to just go in there, into Merc directly, which probably not a good idea because of the whole, that's kind of his castle, kind of Darren's castle. But this way he gets to... Avery is told, because Lincoln knows that Darren wants to purchase a refinery outside of town. And so when he goes there, yes, he will have guards, but this is going to be a business thing. There will be fewer people there, so it'll be easier for Avery to confront him. We then come to the Gooding estate, where now he is the one who's investigating the markings on Sam's back. It's just a preliminary investigation, which doesn't really comfort Sam a great deal. But Gooding doesn't really know what's going on here, and it's the markings light up on occasion, but you feel nothing. Yep, no pain or anything. So they don't know. It's just they light up for whatever reason. He gets what information he can as far as the creature that abducted Sam, which a point is made here that it's not the same as what was just like the things that Avery was fighting. Not the same thing there. Which is troubling to Gooding because he recognizes that means that there's multiple species now working together. Okay, yeah, I can get that that's significant, but at the same time, is it surprising? I don't quite know. But anyway, it is a bit of a problem. Yeah, and it's also Gooding he doesn't quite know. And one thing I do want to say about this, so this I believe was actually no, I don't know when Gooding the Polymath came out relative to Isom 3. And even somewhat in Isom 2 with this. He's supposed to be the tech guy. I don't like him also knowing this occult stuff. He seems too much the ultimate answer. Like, he seems too much the Deus Ex Machina. And it's kind of annoying. I mean, when you combine that with how generic the story was for Gooding, the Polymath, for his own story, and just seeing, like, everything just going well for him, it's kind of annoying. I mean, I'm not saying that things have to go badly for him. It's not like, we haven't seen his wife here, which is actually one reason to believe that Gooding was released after. So he didn't have a wife. Well, yeah, and that's also true, because his first name, Cato, is from when Gooding, the Polymath, was written and came out. So it's possible his name Cato not being used here could be because he didn't have one yet. But it's like, the wife isn't around, and it doesn't need to be something like, he lost his wife, got divorced, or she died or something. I don't need something like that. Just everything seems to be easy for him and just lining up for him. And now it's like, oh yeah, he just has this knowledge, but it's like, even the stuff that he doesn't have, well, I can still research this, and I got Bloodruth I can talk to. It's just, it seems too convenient. That he just knows all of this, and he's just a side character. I mean, that's, yeah. So now we get to Silman Ranch, where Avery is training. I'm not the same, half of what I was, if that. Fault is my own, and there's no guarantee that I can ever make it back. This still puts me in a rough spot. Saving Jasmine is straightforward, getting Darren off my back is the opposite. The ones that can help me the most are the ones that I jeopardized. No matter the outcome, I'm not the hero. I'm solving this alone. So, yeah. Not really the, best plan, but things do work out in the end. So, we're now at the refinery. Darren is there trying to negotiate with the owner, who's apparently been in his family for a couple generations. Well, prior to him. Yeah, my father and his father have said the same concerning the company. And Darren is interested in getting into this because good way to make money, essentially. And the guy's going to take him on a tour. Brant, I guess, because it's Brant Oil Refinery, family company, so, yeah. Now Avery has arrived there as well, but he is, kind of sort of hiding, but not completely, because he is wearing his suit, which gets a little funny because he then says to one of the guys that's just one of the refinery workers, and it's like, hey, I was supposed to come here earlier. I'm late. I'm, an engineer for Darren. In the rush, I forgot my overalls. Do you have a spare? It's like, oh man, I don't know about that. They're gonna bill me for that. It's like, is this enough? Yeah, that's enough. So here it is, and here's a hard hat. But you also get this. No problem. You college-educated hipsters dress weird. Anyway, good luck. And Isom then just looks down at the costume and is like, hipster? Which is a little funny, but it's like, wonder if Cedric would appreciate that. So yeah, that gives him a way to walk around more or less untouched, until actually getting close enough to Darren that Darren sees him, because then Darren does recognize him. Yeah, there's also a mention here that this isn't what Darren is actually after. I'd put in my notes that maybe. It describes that he, if he owns the refinery, then he would get access to the oil and gas network up and downstream, which would be very significant for somebody just looking to build an empire on wealth and power. Now, fortunately, at this time, Lincoln is trying to call Avery, and Avery left his phone in the car. So he's like, he went in on his own, didn't he? All right. Get in there before this gets bad. Who exactly he's talking to is a little unclear. It could be a couple people. So anyway, Avery is there, spots Darren, and Avery is very much a, look, I want to talk with you. But Darren's more like, nah, you're going to be dragged back to my place. I'm going to torture you. Maybe you'll live, and then we'll call this done. Then we'll call it settled. It's like, nah, man, we just need to talk. Darren's like, nope. Either you do what I just said or you die. And then he's just going to walk off with Brandt to continue negotiations, you might say. And Avery tries to talk the guards out of fighting him because, like, you don't need this. I literally just need to talk to the man. Oh yeah, he also wants to find out what's up with Jasmine. That we do get resolved. A lot of this, it does end the way the story ends. It is that there's plenty of things like the whole demon stuff with blood with all that we don't know, but it is. Isom 1, 2, and 3 are basically about his journey to putting the suit back on, to him remembering why he's to wear, why he is allowed to have the strength that he has and such. So it's, and there's more to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But just there are still loose ends, but those loose ends are like, this is for another story. It's always treated as that in this. So I'm happy about that. Like they are irrelevant to what is happening here, but they are still significant stories. Anyway, he takes off the coveralls and such, and does also tell the guards that, stop calling me Silman, call me Isom, kind of thing, which they seem to have no knowledge of or respect for that. And the very next thing that happens is he just gets punched in the face, so he is clearly still not at full strength. We then cut to Darren and Brandt talking, and Brandt is very much a, you know what? I decided I'm not going to sell to you. Not going to do that. And because of the threatening demeanor of Darren, he does grab his gun that he keeps under the desk, but he doesn't do anything with it. But then, before leaving, Darren does turn and shoot him, murdering the man, and even says, never hesitate to neutralize a threat. He then takes the guy's hat, puts it on, and starts smoking a cigar at the guy's desk. Yep. Which it definitely seems he does not care about getting the refinery. Because there's no way he'd be able to, but it kind of makes sense later. Ish. Then we cut to Avery continuing to fight people, and he's making good go of it, but it is definitely less a he's super strong and more of a he knows how to fight. So more experience-based and strength-based at this point. And he again tries to tell them that, don't need to do this. There'll be no victors if this continues to escalate. Tell him to call this off, and nope. And so he runs. It's fair. I mean, it is one against a whole bunch of people, and he is weak, and he doesn't want to fight them. He just wants to deal with Darren. So he runs, manages to lose them, but then the Preto shows up and attacks him. So now he's got that to deal with. And so Lepreto is apparently another Except, or just the new Except that Darren has hired since Santuan was fired. And Avery's having some luck against him, but not really too much. Eventually Lepreto throws him, and he gets stuck onto one of the large stacks there, which is apparently a pipe, because it's leaking oil. And Lepreto just orders one of the guys with the gun to shoot at it, so in order to ignite it. That's not how that would actually work, but let's just go with it. I'm sorry, it's one of those things that a bullet hitting that, unless it sparks, and sparks just correctly to ignite the oil, it's not actually going to do anything. You'd need an actual incendiary round. That's not what this pistol is firing. But, it's comic book. We can just go with it. So it blows up, and it's... Explosions at refineries are not good things. And part of Lepreto's reasoning to this is the deal is off, and he has no use for this place. Darren has no use for this place. So it blows up, and it's basically we should get out of this. And Darren comes out and is like, what the hell is this? You said the deal was off. That doesn't mean... Forget it. Did you all get what I asked for? I did not fail. And then it's revealed that he wanted this pure, uncured Midroxe. Mitroxe. Which is just this green glowing crystal thing, which it's glowing, maybe you shouldn't be holding it. And then talks about how this right here, gentlemen, will change our lives. Why he's telling his guards, I don't quite know, but I guess he's just happy, celebrating. So he's telling people where it's like, yeah, you're getting minimum wage, you're not changing from that. Yeah, the backbone of our operation isn't what takes place between the walls, it's the real estate. That has its limitations. If we can couple that with resources, we could quadruple our revenue while entering into an everlasting industry. Things didn't work out here, but there will be other opportunities. And then we see one of his guards being thrown into others, who knock him down like a bowling pins. And who is it? It's not Avery, it's Santuan has returned. Because he still wants to get paid. And there's no indication of him being interested in that crystal. It's literally I want my money. And Darren is refusing to pay him. Oh, it does also explain for how Santuan even knew where to go is they didn't remove him from the group chat. I mean, it's stupid, but it's real. So, yeah, I can't fault it. Because I'm pretty sure I've heard stories of where that happened, where people lost their job, but they were still in company communications. Anyway. So Lepreto comes up to fight him, and these two, despite one being just, Santuan just being a big-ass dude with lots of strength, and Lepreto being a actual frickin' monster, it's actually kind of even. To the point that, as they're struggling, they leap into the air, because, of course, leap into the air, come down, large explosion. But to Darren, he just sees this as, the reptile will be alright, the deal fell through, but at least we got rid of a couple problems to Avery and Santuan, except that then Lepreto is thrown out of the fire, and while Santuan just walks through it. And it's still look, I'm a businessman just like you, I'm here for my money. And you ain't nothing but a pawn. Don't ever compare yourself to me. And then off panel, somebody yells out enough, and it is Jasmine. And so we get seemingly some explanation here for what's going on with her. She also has an ability, but it's not really the clearest as to what this is. And technically also what's being shown here would be medically a problem, but anyway. So it seems based somewhat on this pattern, but also largely based on what is stated later, she can form this bubble thing around her. And it allows for time to be manipulated within it. So, for example, her doing this is catching Santuan. He can't move anymore because, time is really accelerated, and, time would be really slowed down, so his movements are slowed. But she is unimpacted by this, and she takes her jacket off and throws it through. Now, it's also his feet are outside of it. So Lepredo comes up and actually is able to grab Santuan's foot and throw him away thanks to that. Which... The problem here is that if you have, in this spot, very slow downtime, but this spot, normal time, it's like a time differential there, especially across a hard barrier. Blood flows through your feet, so suddenly the flow of blood to the foot would slow down, and the blood coming back would, go in, and then you'd basically end up draining the blood out of your feet real fast doing that. So that would be quite dangerous. Yeah, her just holding him there, he'd probably lose his feet before too long. Not good. Very much not good. But we do eventually get the explanation for what's going on here. Lepredo is dealing with Santuan, but Darren gives her the crystal and says, when resources age, they become more or less valuable. This is why Jasmine here offers us the greatest resource known to man, time. And she's holding the crystal, and it just does that, where it's she just holds it up and it does something. Turns into this green ring thing there, but it also just vanishes. We never see it again. So I have no idea what's going on with that. So Lepredo is beating the crap out of Santuan, but then Avery shows up and actually grabs Lepredo's arm and stops him, and is able to, at this point, actually equal him. So it seems like he has finally gained sufficient redemption to be back at full strength. And part of this does include him... he actually leaps up, dives down to smash into Lepredo, and then is dragging him back to Darren and crew. Because, just trying to take care of business there. And Darren wants to just shoot Isom in the head. Just wants to shoot Avery in the head. But Jasmine wants a minute to, have a word with him. I got this all wrong. I can't believe you're working alongside him. I mean, why wouldn't I? And your mother has no idea. I'm grown, but I should be the one lecturing you. Look at the mess you've caused. You've made life difficult for yourself and your family, all because you wanted to be a nosy hero. I mean, to be fair, he did ask her, just tell me if this is involuntary. If she had said, it's voluntary, in theory, he would have walked then. Just saying. But anyway, because she's gotten close enough to him, she does the bubble thing, so is seemingly trapping him in time. And also says, but I'll tell the Silmans you died an honorable death, so it seems like he is trapped. Imagine that, you failed as a man, and now you've failed as a hero. Let it down and move out of the way quickly, he's saying to Jasmine, so the bubble's collapsing, but before it even finishes... while he's preparing to, while Darren is preparing to shoot Avery, he just speeds out and manages to tackle Darren, knocking the gun free. And then he comes back to Jasmine and tells her, you'd better do that thing. What? Because Avery knows how Darren thinks. He just insulted Darren again by doing this. And so by raising the time field thing, it catches the bullets, because Darren isn't thinking. He just wants to shoot Avery. Where's Avery? Next to Jasmine. So the bullets stop in the bubble. And she says, are you crazy? I want this mother effer dead. And you'll kill me in the process? Yes. I'm sorry. And now Avery's talking, I was foolish. You didn't need saving. I'll concede that much. This was never my business to begin with, but I'm not the only one learning a lesson here, am I? You're not as valuable to this man as you think. You're disposable. All of you. As for the both of you, I'll leave you with something special. And I need to also explain what's being shown on the panels here, but I'll finish reading first. Should you come for me and my family, you'll at least know this. Fear not of my strength. The how is what you should be worried about. Because those bullets, they entered this bubble that has really slowed down time. So they're just hanging in the air. He just grabs them and crushes them. Which it looks like they're full metal jackets. So we're talking about a lead core around copper. So this is, and they're small. It's not going to be easy to do that. They're going to be quite hard. And nope. Pride got in the way for the both of us. I can at least say I attempted to do good. Shut up with the philosophical, and insert whichever curse word you want. This ain't philosophy. God showers us with his blessings. I'm especially mindful of this. And that's why I can't be contained with these silly tricks. It'll only empower me. And then he leaps up and smashes down into the ground. Well, yeah, wait. Okay, maybe he is staying within the bubble. It's a little unclear there, but just says catch street as he strikes the ground, throwing them all up, which actually, yeah, that does make sense for how it would go with it. It would empower me, because if he does that within the bubble, so things are supposed to be slowed down, but if he's striking it at real time, when the force exits, it will be accelerated, including all the debris. But Jasmine is okay, everyone else is knocked down. Has a final message to Darren, who doesn't really accept it. He goes over to Santuan, though, and asks, who sent you? Nobody, this is business. Didn't expect you to turn on Darren, at least not this fast, and it's, not exactly a thing, but Avery helps him up, and it's clear these two, there is no love lost between them. They do not like each other, but still, to a degree, Santuan was helpful, and it is, as we then get, after Santuan collapses again, we get Avery's monologue. As difficult as it may be, Matthew reminds us, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. So Avery is doing what he can to save Santuan here. To also forgive him, but then Laprido shows back up. And do actually appreciate this a little bit. Allow me to show you my true nature. Let's see how you like, and then Salient attacks. You're still a cocky old fool. This isn't a cartoon. Trying to power up only leaves you vulnerable. Yeah, you must be Avery. Lincoln failed to mention your attire. Anyway, tell him I appreciate the tip. I'll take it from here. So, Lincoln apparently is the one who called... When he called in help, it was Salient to... I guess just report on where Laprido, where Laprido is. Lepresti is somebody else entirely. So yeah, it's. I do like this stuff. I am curious about where more of this is gonna go. Like the whole Avery being able to, because he's a Pico, being able to basically deny at least Jasmine's ability, potentially others. But yeah. And while Salient is detaining Laprido, we do see Avery is carrying Santuan off. Just trying to think if there's anything more to add there. I mean, Darren isn't dead or anything like that, but it is... Avery has, in theory, hopefully, made his point. You can't stop me. Just stop this. So... we then pick up days later with Avery's truck outside of a house we don't know. And then he goes, rings the doorbell, may I help you? And then, older guy there sees who it is and punches him straight in the jaw, which Avery takes, gets knocked down and all that. And the explanation is, this is the father and mother, though she hasn't come out just yet, the parents of the girl who he failed to save at the convention years prior. And he's basically finally there to atone for his failure. And it is interesting how it's written here, and I do like how it is. I'm just trying to think, do I have any criticisms for it I can verbalize? Because I do feel that there might be some ways it could be better, but I don't know. I can't think of any, so it's more of I just have a feeling, but that's not enough. But it is still, I like it. It's just, could it be better? Could it be better? It's like, it still is really good. I do like it. And it's like, the guy even pulls a gun on Avery, but he's just, why should I not return you failed, you could have saved her, why should I not return the favor? Robert, it's all right. Avery saying, you're not wrong, I did fail in more ways than one. The burden you bear is far greater than I can imagine. I'm not here to make any excuses, nor do I want to be bothersome. And then, Robert, the father, it wasn't just the death. Yeah, and then she explains, and both parents are explaining here, it would have meant so much to us if you came to the funeral. You vanished, and we never heard from you again. It was like she was just another casualty. We were abandoned. No answers, nothing. And I like that. The whole, look, it's not that you failed that necessarily hurt us. It's the fact that it seemed to mean nothing. Now, we know that's not the case. It poisoned his mind, his heart in a way. It so filled him with doubt that he ran away. So Avery was very much impacted by it. But he didn't feel it was right. And I'm sorry, if it's all right with you, I'd like to remain in contact. In a much different way, my life also changed with the death of your daughter. I just wanted to stop by and tell you that I'll be active in searching for answers. It won't be overnight, it may take years, but he will meet justice. And then we see Chadram again here, who's just like in some jungle place. I don't know. But yeah, I do like that, because just the emphasis there, it's not so much that he failed, but that it didn't seem to mean anything. That's what truly hurt them, because it touches on that whole, yeah, we can't do anything when somebody dies. That does happen. It's horrible. It's truly tragic. But it's to be alone in that grief that can make it even worse. But it is also, they were left alone in their grief from how the town ended. Well, they have each other, but yeah. But Avery just chose to be alone with his grief, and how that impacted him to the point to allowing him to lose his powers at the most opportune moment for him to realize the problem. But it's, yeah. So it, I do like that for how it, yeah, I mean, it's like I always say, I do like that. But I do also have an issue here with the whole Chadram is out and about. Because in the flashback that we had in the previous part, Avery was saying that, yeah, they're containing the issue, they're containing that guy. I'm doing cleanup. Yeah, I'm just making sure everyone got evacuated. It's like, okay, I'm good with that, but where were the people trying to deal with Chadram then? How did he escape after killing the daughter? After killing the young woman? It's like, fine, you weren't enough to stop him. Why did no one else stop him? I don't understand that. And I get the idea of, he's out there and is still a threat, but I feel like it doesn't quite jive with what we had before. So anyway, now we've got the actual wrapping up kind of stuff at this point, where Avery has now come back to Goodings. And so it's like, the story for Isom 3 is technically done with him seeing the family. So this is more setting up future stories. And like he and Gooding are talking. Gooding's like, once I figured out your story, figured out who you are and your name, now I started to have ideas about what's going on here. The tip is in your name, it's all over your movement. Isomet, and then robot interrupts. She survived, so in theory, isometric could be it, but we'll see. But yeah, so Bloodruth arrives so they can talk about it, and Gooding explains that as he's been going through his research to figure out what's going on, he identifies who it is, this other being there, that the one that marked Sam's back, and that and Bloodruth also mentions that the cave is now empty, which is a problem. Well, she sees it as a problem, but Gooding's like, that's actually good news. The beasts are just a controlled subspecies. They aren't harmless, but they're only pawns. These guys are capable of interdimensional travel. I'm assuming that's how they relocated. Sydney, you've never dealt with them because they aren't supposed to be here. Based on their historic patterns, this wasn't random, so we need to know, what did they want with you? And he's pointing, presumably, at Avery. And that is where that ends. And next up is Shersha. I think I'm remembering how to pronounce that correctly. That one is out of just a Rippaverse, as I recall. So it's relatively short, but I have some other things I need to do today, so I'm going to focus on that first. And then we get to Yaira. 1, 2, and 3. So, yeah. So what I put in my notes is I'm still giving this, what I'm right now going to stick with is a 2, so weak recommendation, like Isom 1 and 2. I did enjoy it, but it's not drawing me in really as much as I would like it to. I'm not finding it as sufficiently enjoyable to make me give it a 3. But I did also make the note that I can, if I were in a more generous mood than I am right now, I would give it a 3. I absolutely would. It's not that far from where I'd want it to be a 3. It's not that far from it. And maybe as I think about it more and go over my notes when I write it up and go through the book again, maybe I'll change my mind and upgrade it to a 3. That is very possible. But it is, I don't know, it's still just not quite there. And I'm just trying to think, what are the main criticisms that I have there? I don't know, I guess maybe if I had a bit better sense of what a peaker is, if there were other things, like a bit more history for them. And also, I don't know, the J. Sully Ward thing, that's definitely just confusing to me. It's like, okay, it's a way to introduce Laprido and Salient, but why? I get it. It's one of those side stories that's, as I was saying, irrelevant, but it's like you inserted it here just so we have like 2 more characters that can fight. But it's also, if we excised them completely, all you need is for Damon to have another Accept who can then fight both Avery but also Santuan. But it could just be a generic Accept. I mean, in some ways, Santuan was. So I don't feel the need there. That feels more distraction. I don't know. I'll have to think on it. And it is also possible that I'm kind of thinking now, and I should put this in my notes. It is not unreasonable. I'll have to think on it. It'll be when I'm writing stuff up, though, that all 3 together, Isom 1, 2, and 3 together, with the complete story there of Isom, why Avery stopped being Isom, why Avery was losing strength, and why he gets it back. That whole story there, I do like. I could see potentially deciding that those three together, if it were just a single Isom story, not broken into three parts, but all together, I could see potentially giving that a 3. I could, which may seem odd. The whole, how do you get 3 2s, 3 weak recommendations, but all together it becomes a straight recommendation? I can understand that, but it's just, I guess it would be a having it all tied together as one thing, tightening it up some by dropping things like this J. Sully board that's like, what is this? Which maybe that will get explained as we keep going. But, yeah, maybe by having them in totality together, that would be clearer. I don't know. Sorry, that would make it more so a 3. I don't know. I'll have to think on it. But it is still, I don't want to say it too strongly, but I will say this. I think it does stick the landing for how Isom started. I do think, I mean, it's not necessarily a great landing. That's why I don't want to say it's too strong. But no, I think that it accomplished its goals and did so very well. So yeah, it's just, I guess it's also partly, I don't know what the hell's going on still. I mean, yeah, it is kind of that, because it's like, okay, I got the accepts. That's fine. I can understand that. I can work with that in my mind to figure out what's going forward, what's going on. But we got this demon stuff going on too, and it seems like, we got Darren, we've got the accepts, we've got the demons, and both the accepts and the demons are just like side things here. It's just about Darren. But at the same time, the demon stuff is important because of how that's, like, he's somehow connected. Avery is important to them. Sam has been touched by them. And the accepts are important because they're the only thing that really, that Avery has to deal with as a true concern. So it does feel odd. It does feel odd in that way, and a little loose. So that is kind of part of the weakness there. But I get it. That is comic book. You're trying to build up a universe with all these different things there. I don't know. It's a little busy. And I think, yeah, I kind of feel like that's part of the reason why I feel that individually they're each just at 2s. But if they were all together, it might be a 3, because now all of that is connected together and it might not feel so bad. But it's also, there's not that much with the accept stuff in this. I mean, it's like we get an explanation for peakers, okay, but you also introduce the term peaker, so I'm not sure how much that really counts. And it's really just Santuan and Lepido and Salient that we have to worry about. That's it. And, along with Avery. So Yaira and Alpha Core, they're all just in the beginning. This other stuff with the accepts, that's all just in the beginning. In Isom 1, I mean. Nothing here. And it just, it feels a little over the place, and that does weaken it some. I understand trying to build up the larger universe. I get that, but it's still, that doesn't mean it doesn't come with consequences. It doesn't potentially weaken it a little bit. So yeah, and I need to add that to the notes. Yeah. So partly I feel it is a 2 because of how there are 3 main concerns. Darren accepts and the demons. But the main adversary to Avery is Darren. No, within the story, while the other 2 are potentially more significant threats to him, yet seem less relevant to this story. So it feels a little confused there. And that does weaken it. But I should also add, but maybe with all 3 Isom stories unified, I guess is a fair way to put it. I could see them together being a 3. Need to think on this more. Just trying to think, what might be a fair example? Like another thing, like something that, as a trilogy, where it's all separate, might be weaker than if you had it all together. But nothing's really coming to mind, because it's also tricky, because, like, The Lord of the Rings. Well, The Lord of the Rings was never a trilogy, it was always one book. The publisher is the one who actually split it up, and not necessarily into 3 books, it might have been 6, because if you actually read The Lord of the Rings, it does, like, have book 1 is... Crap, I don't remember the name of the book, book 1. Book 2, I think, is the name for Fellowship of the Ring. Because that's when you actually have the Fellowship form. Again, I don't remember what book 3 is, and like book 4 is the Two Towers, book 5, and then book 6 is the Return of the King, because that's when those actually take place. That those specific events occur. But yeah, the publisher is the one who split them into 3 separate books, split them into the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and the Return of the King. So it's like, is that really fair to consider that a trilogy? Well, no, it was never meant to be that. But I guess what might work better for an explanation here, for why I feel that maybe altogether they could work together, but it's also the whole, we've got Darren, we've got the Excepts, and we've got the demon stuff, is think of the original trilogy for Star Wars. Was like, okay, we've got the Force, so that's Excepts. We've got Vader, who uses the Force. So it's like those still kind of connect together. You do have the Empire itself, which is kind of like Darren as far as just normal people go, but Vader is part of the Empire and controls the Empire. I don't know if this is necessarily correct, but I kind of see him. He's the commander-in-chief. He's in control of the entire Empire's military. And the Emperor's above him, but it's like in that. And there's no demons unless you kind of want to claim the Hutts, which, I mean, once we're outside of the opening to Return of the Jedi, cease to be relevant. So it's like, the things all seem connected together. Here, they're not. And I feel that's kind of part of why I feel this should be a 2, because this specific story, I do feel kind of suffers from that. Because it's like, we have these big concepts, but it's the dude Darren we have to deal with here. And it's just, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I do have some things to do, so I'm going to stop this. And, yeah, I will see you next time for Saoirse, and then we got Yaira after that. See you then.